Hello, friends. Nayaswami Raymond here. The question has come up, who should I pray for? And specifically, is it okay to pray for someone who hasn't asked for it? Or even someone who might not want it? It's a good question. It is true, that is to say, I've read that the findings of Larry Dossey, a researcher on the effectiveness of prayer, has shown that the receptivity of the one prayed for does contribute measurably to the effectiveness of the prayer. However, there are times when we still nonetheless want to pray for someone. First off, keep in mind that prayers are being offered to and through and in the direction of the higher consciousness, both of the one praying and of the soul of the person prayed for. Another way of putting this is that the energy, the intention and the energy on those respective levels have their own innate intelligence. Even if the person were evil, a wrongdoer, or someone who at least didn't like you, you could nonetheless pray for them soul to soul. Now, there's this story in the autobiography of a yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda in which Yogananda's sister asked him to pray for her husband, who was a scoffer and ridiculed saints and spirituality in general. And in that story, Yogananda's prayers bore the fruit, a lifelong fruit actually, of converting the husband to the spiritual life. And the husband was quite angry at what he perceived to be Yogananda's efforts, conspiring with his wife, Yogananda's sister, to reform him. Okay. Also, Jesus Christ from the cross prayed, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." You see, this goes to the heart of those who do injury to others, which is sin is ignorance. Even when it's intentional, given our oneness in spirit, our connectedness, it has to be, even evil, in other words, is based on ignorance, even intentional evil. What dimension all the other sort of passion-based or like or dislike-based kinds of things that we experience. And so now, who should we pray for? Back in the 9/11 days, when America was attacked in New York City by terrorists, someone asked Swami Kriyananda, who should we pray for? Specifically, should we send prayers not just to the obvious victims, etc., but even to those who did harm? In that case, he said, better to concentrate your prayers, your intentions, your compassion, your love, etc., to those who are receptive, to those who need it, people who have died, for example, and are in their astral transition from the physical form, having died violently. They can be very often confused and disoriented in that process. Prayers, of course, for their families and loved ones who have to go through that grieving and so on. So that's a little bit different a question. It's always good to pray, but there are circumstances. I recall also Swami Kriyananda saying that in times of psychic attack, when you feel influenced negatively, under harm, and influence of someone whose magnetism may be stronger than yours, someone abusive psychically or otherwise, then opening your heart to them is probably unwise if their magnetism is stronger than yours. Now, whether opening your heart is the same thing as praying for them, I suppose one could quibble and make a distinction, fair enough. But the point in that case was that when another person was actively trying to harm you on some level, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and whose magnetism was such that theirs was stronger, best instead to repel that energy, creating a cross of light in your prayers and sort of repelling the energy being sent to you, not to harm them, but to protect yourself, and other forms of psychic protection, most of which have to do with keeping your energy uplifted and positive and not focused on the negativity, which includes the person sending you that energy. So praying has many different levels, and the last level, I would say, is that for some of us, and I include Swami Kriyananda in this, for some of us, we are disinclined to pray for our own selves, preferably praying for others, but taking what comes to us in the way of suffering, of physical, mental, spiritual, as being a test from God, a divine test, and one that is intended to make us stronger, to learn some lessons perhaps. So for some of us, by no means all, for some of us, we want to try to accept our tests and not pray that they be taken away. I think of Jesus Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane, who started off saying, praying, "Take this cup from me," and then concluding, resigning himself, as it were, positively with willpower and calm acceptance, "Thy will, not my will, Father, be done." So there's quite a few different levels to how I should pray, to whom I should pray. On the question of how, it's best to pray after a period of meditation or inner silence where when you come to the point of praying, if it is for yourself or for others, that you are hopefully, after a period of silent inner communion, meditation, that you are calmest and clearest in your mind and in your heart. Oftentimes when we pray for loved ones or, again, ourselves, we are emotionally engaged. And we want our prayers, I should say our prayers will be most effective if we're not grasping for an outcome, that the person be healed or cured, or that this, illness I have goes away. You want always thy will be done. You want always, if possible, to send the energy to another person and let that energy be guided by the will, God's will, meaning how can this person, if they're not cured or healed, how can they best learn whatever lesson or somehow receive some spiritual comfort, consolation, or upliftment or wisdom from the energy I am sending. Let the energy do its job from the highest perspective of their own soul. Okay, I think that covers a few good points worth sharing. All right, thank you.